So Debo Samuel is far and away the best player on the team, and how much he gets the ball will kind of determine how far the Niners go. But it's not all about him. They also have George Kittle and Brandon Aiyuk. And I think it's interesting. Coming into this season, most people thought like Kittle was the man on this offense. He's the highest paid player. He's the greatest tight end ever. And he's not the man anymore. It's Debo now. My question now is, who's number two? Who should be getting the second most plays dedicated to them? Kittle or Aiyuk? Running backs aside, after Debo.
I key in here on the use of the word should. Who should be getting the second most targets there? And to me, this offense is built around Yak. It is absolutely set up with the strengths of Jimmy Garoppolo, with an offensive line that it probably is best to focus on getting the ball out quickly, that you really want to be able to get it to your playmakers in space quickly, shorter throws over the middle of the field often. And when I look at the two and compare and contrast them, the skill set seems to match up much cleaner with George Kittle. That you worry about George's ability to stay healthy, but I don't think you can allow that to impact your decision, much like the need to get Debo Samuel that 10 to 15 touches, however you are orchestrating it. You've got to sort of set aside from your mind the idea that you may overuse him at that, because you need it. Every game has become a must win. In particular, this week's game against Minnesota could decide the 49ers' fate at the end of the year. So to me, it is forcing the ball to Kittle. It is allowing him to do what Debo Samuel does, which is physically impose himself on other defenses. It's a very demoralizing event for defenses to be run over by people like Debo or Kittle, or a run game that is unstoppable.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And there's also the fact that they pay him so much money. I mean, how do you make him
Yes,
the
they do.
third banana in in a passing attack that's in an offense that's a run first deal? Like, that's kind of rough. You're not paying him all that money to get 4 targets a game, which is what he got last week. 4 targets. Now he did score, but four? That seems a little low for what you're paying. So yeah, it should be him, right? But then I go to Ayuk. I really feel like Ayuk's better than him at this point.
Hmm.
I mean, he was really good in the last two games, particularly against Jacksonville. I think I know he was in the doghouse, but I think he's just a little quicker, a little faster, getting
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more separation, um, better catch radius. I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on the matchup, like who's going against, what the cornerbacks are on that team, what the linebackers are on that team. But Ike's younger. He can handle a bigger workload because he doesn't have that injury history that Kittle has. You kind of feel like you have to give it to Kittle because he's Kittle and he's a captain, and he does match up well with Jimmy, but so does Ayuk. I mean, Ayuk on these slants is money. 3rd and 12 last week, he kept that first drive going. I would actually here. I got a stat when targeted this year.
Mm.
Kittle's at Jimmy when targeting Kittle. Jimmy's quarterback rating is 100. When targeting Ayuk, it's 117. I'm just saying, Ayuk, he might be worth about 8 targets a game. He's a hell of a player. I don't know what they were thinking the first half of the season, what lessons they were teaching him, but now that they've got him involved in the offense, they're so much better. So much better. Nothing against Trent Sherfield.
Thank goodness he learned his lesson when he did, I guess, right? I mean,
Yeah.
had they decided he needed to be in the doghouse for any longer, it could have been too late for this season.
I love
And,
how he
you know,
figured out his lesson right with the season on the brink. They're like 3-5. Oh,
yeah,
he got it. He got it. He got the picture. He learned it. Great
the
timing.
light came on.
Yeah, good.
I see Ayuk as potentially of the two, the better at contested catches as well. And that seems to come into play. I would say I feel that he's the more sure-handed receiver of the two. I feel less inclined to say that he's going to rack up the yards after the catch in the way that Kittle does. I don't see him physically imposing himself on defenses in the way that Kittle does. But because you have other players that are doing that, you have a run game that is potentially snatching the soul of the defense if it's picking up big chunks and is consistent, and the 49ers stick with it. Brandon Aiyuk could be a very complementary style of receiver to Debo Samuel, as opposed to Kittle, who seems to be in a similar vein, where you're looking to maximize yards after the catch. You're looking to allow Kittle to impose himself physically on smaller defenders.
You're right about yards after catch. I looked it up. Debo's at 9.5. That's ridiculous. Kittle's at 6.3. Still good. And Aiyuk's at
Real
4.
good.
Aiyuk's at 4. I would expect more from Aiyuk.
Some of that could be as a result of the way in which he was used to start the season, or not used to start the season.
Point. Yeah.
You would look to see that continue to trend up for the rest of the year, because it does seem as whether it is the use or whether it is Aiyuk really turning it on these last couple of weeks, he's back.
I got a bonus topic real quick. This is something I wanted to mention. I've been for years saying the Niners need to get the ball to use check more. This is the first season. I almost want to feel like they need to do it less. Nothing against him, although I do think he's starting to slow down a little bit. But I think the Mitchell and Sermon are more dangerous receivers than use check. Those guys need to get the ball more. I mean, it's screens. The Niners need to do more like screens to Debo at running back, screens to their running backs, not screens to their wide receivers and tight ends and fullbacks. Just saying.
The more they can stress the defense, the better, from sideline to sideline, because the 49ers do have trends that they follow. And if you become predictable, it's more difficult to be dominant. And what I worry with Kyle Shanahan is his propensity to outcoach himself, to get a bit cute in his play calling, to zig before he needs to get away from the run when sticking with the run would be just fine, as evidenced by 2 weeks in a row where the average yards per carry you could label as atrocious, and yet the end result is the 49ers ran all over both teams.